It's really hard to step into the D&D content space because it's so saturated. And I use the word saturated as a derogatory slur in this case. It's genuinely pitiful that the content space around a game that is built around making stuff up while playing pretend with your friends is left with so much repetitive slop to represent it online. I waste so much of my damn time on YouTube just scrolling endlessly hoping to find just one more video essay to keep me company while I farm my third hour of super credits for Helldivers 2 on difficulty 1 missions. D&D is my favorite game that I do not get to play. Because, say it with me, it's impossible to get schedules aligned with your friends. We all know the spiel, right? And I think it's a damn shame that I spent more time watching videos about D&D rather than actually playing it. I haven't been DMing for too long, just like 4 years by now. I have, 3 campaigns that fell apart due to scheduling under my belt, multiple one-shots, and even some experience as a player, also in one-shots and 1 or 2 campaigns that also fell apart due to scheduling. It's rough out there. Especially with Wizards of the Coast not really giving us any content to latch onto. So we are all left in this padded echo chamber in a straitjacket trying to figure out whatever we can to keep ourselves entertained. It just feels like a lot of people kind of tore through the straitjacket and started scratching their eyes out. I can pretty confidently summarize the vast majority of D&D content you will encounter on YouTube. Firstly, you have the snake oil salesman who will promise you that they will solve D&D for you. It's always a thumbnail with red arrows, red circles, big bold letters, and a caption about how something is broken, about tips DM or the player has to know in order to even consider playing the game. That with this video they will solve some fundamental aspect of truth about the game that will finally allow you to play it as it's meant to be played. And I understand for newcomers it's a little hard to get into the hobby, it can feel overwhelming, and these types of video can help with some base knowledge about rules and the systems the game has to offer. But these people make it their whole career on YouTube to talk about these things over and over and over again. And you would think that even if they were trying to cater to a new audience of newcomers, the audience would grow up with them. There is only a finite amount of advice you can give. And with this endless recycling of this kind of content, you just end up gaslighting your own audience into thinking that they, after several years of engaging with this hobby, maybe they don't actually deserve to run a game. Maybe they do not actually know what to do. Maybe they haven't seen enough videos of how to run the game in order to play. Which is a problem because it's so hard to actually get to play and to just reinforce the idea that there's always some kind of invisible barrier that a player or a DM must cross before they can be considered a good player or a good DM or to even try is preposterous. It's just making people gatekeep themselves from the hobby. Because at some point something will click in their mind and make them think, oh, I guess I do not even deserve to try to play the game. I shouldn't even try because I have not met the mythical standard that will allow me to play. For anyone who might be worried about these things, just ask yourself honestly, how much time online have you spent watching or reading about D&D? Be it these tip videos or just reading D&D horror stories or watching podcasts or watching live plays like Critical Role or Dimension 20. I'm pretty sure that whatever the number you answer to yourself is more than enough for you to truly be confident in your abilities to engage with this game. I promise you, if you've just seen half of any season of Dimension 20, or just however little amount of Critical Role campaigns, because that shit takes ages to watch, you are more than qualified. What am I even saying? You do not have to be qualified. There's no qualification, just play the game. You already have a point of reference of how it should look, of what to do, what to say. how the games are structured. Don't wait for someone to tell you that you can. I know that people do not have to have friends. It's hard to make friends or to have friends that will get engaged in the same things you do, even though that should probably be a sign of good friends that would be down to try things you are interested in. But there are solutions. There really are. You can maybe find a game at your local game stores. There are these online sites that allow you to find a game online. I'm not a big fan of playing online personally, but my girlfriend had an amazing experience with it, besides some scheduling issues with one person that was there. You can find fun even with strangers. And you will have to eventually step out of your comfort zone a little in order to properly enjoy this. This is a storytelling game. At some point during your playtime, you will have to allow yourself to be a little more vulnerable, to explore parts of your story that will be left unexplored otherwise. And those parts going unexplored are such a shame to lose on. Because the fundamental reality of this game is to come together, to play, to share a story, to share a laugh, to share an experience, and to, in a way, truly feel what makes us human and holds us together. But no, Pointy Head says the game has a free problem, and this person says that you do not know these 7 awesome tips for DMs about villains before you can even try to play. Jesus. It's a rough time out there. You might not have the friends to play with. You might be a little too worried to reach out online and find a group of strangers to play on Discord, maybe. But if that's the case, you maybe have to ask yourself, are you truly willing to play this game? Do you truly want to play this game? Because it can be taxing, really, on someone's mind to want to do something and not be able to do it for so long, that at some point it might just be better to let it go. If there are some genuine barriers that you are either not just in general able to overcome because it's not possible, or it's something that you have to step out of your comfort zone for, maybe it's better to move on. Maybe you should play endless amounts of Baldur's Gate, or maybe you should try writing a book. Now, I'm not telling you to ditch your passions, I'm not trying to gatekeep myself, it's just a lot of the discussion revolves in the end around how much time we actually spent playing and how much time we spent wishing that we get to play. And all of this, like, advice content stems from that. It kind of feeds on the assumption that you will never feel worthy enough or knowledgeable enough to actually play. And you will feel like that as long as you do not actually play. As long as you do not share the moment with others where you realize that listening to all of those videos, taking down notes, planning so much time in advance for what you might say, how to best build your character, how to best react to story beats, none of that mattered because in the end, when the moment comes, you will not even begin to think about stuff like that. And kind of hand in hand with this goes the D&D build videos. Just shut up. There is no actual optimal build. There's no point in min-maxing, quote-unquote min-maxing. Yeah, sure, whatever. Some people might have fun exploring the different types of synergies and have a kick out of them coming together. But that's a little different kind of min-maxing, right? Into that goes the combination of flavor, actually reading what the characters are about, maybe coming up with something yourself. I'm talking about the kind of content that is just a tier list about the viability of subclasses for a certain class. Just play whatever you want. Every class is in the end good as any other. But the damage potential of a wizard is far greater than of the fighter, of my champion fighter. And what about ranger? Ranger is bad. I don't know. Just talk with your DM. Oh my god! The people that make these videos is how we got to the point of ranger and monk bad. They are unplayable. Play something else. Shut up. Let me ask you, if you think that ranger is bad, how many times did you play a ranger? How much time have you actually spent playing those rangers? And if the experience was according to you bad, was the campaign accommodated for a ranger being in the party? If not, did the campaign accommodate other classes existing in it? I'm a stalwart believer that there is no actually bad class in D&D. Just bad players and bad DMs not being able to come to an agreement to make the class feel relevant and impactful to the story. And if you're gonna try to tell me that the amount of impact your character makes is all determined by how much the damage number can go up, then I'm gonna go tell you to scribble down on another dungeon crawl and get out of my sight. I feel like it's undeniable that there has been a certain culture shift when it comes to D&D. It's been ages since the time of your classic dungeon crawls. I'm certain some people still run it like that. I'm certain that there are moments for it. But your average player is never gonna experience that nowadays. And once again, I was a new player once. I was a new player consuming this tier list content, this power scaling content, and avoided certain classes altogether because I was told they're just bad. That once again, they do not meet this mythical standard of being good. What does being good mean? I don't know, theoretically you can roll this amount of damage dice. Why does that matter? Where's the context of a campaign? Where's the context of a story? Where's the context of the player synergies between each other? Where's the context of the relationship you have with your DM and the other players? Because, I'm so sure so many of us are actually going on a pen and paper dungeon crawl with 18 backup characters ready to just throw into a meat grinder. I'm sure that's the best way to approach introducing people to this game. And aren't you tired? Aren't you a little tired just listening to another person on Reddit or in the YouTube comment section saying how funny it actually would be if my level 3 wizard, sorcerer, fighter, paladin, warlock did 1800 damage on turn 2 under the correct circumstances? That's so funny. For the 18th time. That's my 18th character that can do that. That's so fun. What's their backstory? How much they are involved with the story? Gulp. Have a respect for yourself. Have a respect for the people you play with. I would mainly blame the online competitive video game sphere for this, for making us feel like there's an optimal way to play a game, that there's a certain meta that we need to adhere to. But once again, this is not Rainbow Six Siege, it never was. You are not gonna be called slurs for not picking the most meta character that there is. And on that note, there's no damn meta in the first place. Once again, we just created this zeitgeist of limits and boundaries that do not exist in the first place. And it just keeps pounding our brains and again in this echo chamber of YouTube shorts and just barely 10 minutes to 15 minutes long videos so they can actually get monetized. I do not feel the passion for the hobby behind these videos. I really don't. The snake oil salesman type of videos, the min-maxing type of videos, they feel like a business scheme to me. They feel like just another video ticked off from their list of videos they need to make. Oh, it has been 2 weeks, I need to adhere to my schedule, time to post again. That's how they feel. So please tell me, have you ever been in a situation at the table where you genuinely thought that, oh my god, I wish that I dipped into this class for my multi-class. I could really use the technically potential on paper 23 extra average damage right now. The game's ruined for me now. Have you ever thought that? And don't even get me started on the D&D Shorts content. I could scream, I could wail for actual hours about how I just wanna cut my ears off and pour lead straight into my brain cavity, straight into my skull, whenever I hear, my bard was horny and seduced a dragon because that's funny. The ranger and monk are bad classes, now please laugh. The paladin doesn't actually follow his oath literally, or follows it too literally. Please laugh again. I would rather eat sand. I would rather eat raw chicken and then go to the ER with salmonella than listen to this. That is truly the pinnacle of D&D repetitive slop content. I do not wish to entertain it any further. But there is a point to why I brought it up in the first place. This is the holy trinity of D&D content. This is what you will be the most exposed to. Snake oil salesmen, power scalers, and short form content slop creators. Now, even though I have very little respect for these types of videos, I do have to acknowledge the effort that actually goes into them. And that for some people who create these is genuinely what they want to do. And that for a lot of people, seemingly, this provides valuable content that they value, that is important to them in some way, that they are glad that they got to consume. If I squint and if I stop rage baiting myself, I can see the value in these. I can see what they can provide in terms of entertainment and information given. This was me yelling about the still very much respectable videos. Here in the D&D community, one of the most artistically driven hobbies you can imagine, we also have an actual plague of AI generated slop content. I do not believe I need to say much more about that. Just so much AI slop. Into the not so respectable category also falls the world of Critical Role, horny bait thumbnail, lying summary bullshit that we have to deal with after any new episode comes out, or at least any new mainline campaign episode, because these people do not actually care about any of the smaller side projects they do. If you enjoy Critical Role, you can very much give up the idea that you will be able to engage in some sort of constructive or interesting discussion about what it offers, about what it does online. Mercer effect. Sex referenced in my D&D life play. Mercer effect. That's all you get. It's all the equivalent of the whole genre of videos that are character X doing Y for Z uninterrupted minutes. But those are still kind of good, right? Those are in some way tributes to a favorite character or to a fan favorite character. I can see those. But this engagement chasing garbage, whoever is doing this must know what they are doing. There is no way in hell they think they are just exposing their favorite parts of the show to people who might not have seen it yet. Because if they did, they would have the self-respect and the respect for the art that they so value to make thumbnails like this, to make titles like this. And on that note, I'm keeping up with the campaign 4 of Critical Role. I haven't been in touch much previous to this, because Critical Role campaigns are just so damn long. They are good, but so damn long. And I have been more of a Dimension 20 guy from the start. But I'm genuinely surprised how barren the comment sections under the new Critical Role videos are of any actual meaningful discussion. It's mainly people doing the how much of an amazing little precious bean they are, that they hope nothing bad will happen to, and how Brennan is brutal, how brutal he is, how brutal of a brutal DM brutalizing his non-brutal precious beans. And then also just like people stating what happened. For example, just quoting something Brennan said, or adding, that gave me chills. Like, it's supposed to be something so profound. And most of the times it's a good line, but it's not like, oh my god, this changed my view on the whole world type of thing. But there are also like plenty of insightful comments about the nature of a character, maybe some details that they did, or some interpretations of what they did, what they said. I've got some interesting stuff from that, but I'll actually let you two yell at me over this, because I feel like I'm way too biased in this. I'm just not enjoying, and no, I'm not gonna say enjoying, that I'm not enjoying the new campaign of Critical Role. I guess I'm just a little bit disappointed. A little tiny bit. I feel like it was built up to be mainly probably by the community to be something so grand and something more amazing. And it's good. It's really great. There hasn't just been anything that would click with me the way some Dimension 20 campaigns did. But I think I can just attribute that to the campaign for starting with the focus on the soldier stable, and I hate the soldier stable. I feel like it's the worst stable, and I was so glad when it got out of the way. Sadly, Seekers weren't that much better, in my opinion, but Tyranny and Wick weren't there, so Seekers were still astronomically better. But like Schemers, oh my god, the Schemers are perfect. Schemers are everything I could have wanted from Brennan DMing a main Critical Role campaign. But that's end of this tangent. In another tangent, nested in another tangent. I could probably also talk about all the Reddit content, people just reading stuff from Reddit, mainly D&D horror stories. Like, we are still supposed to believe those stories actually happen. It's the equivalent of Am I the Asshole subreddit, but for D&D. It's also just one of the lowest quality content, the easiest kind of content you can make here. People flock to it, mainly because, like I said, I feel like not that many people actually play this game actively enough. So listening about stories how other people play or what they experience is what they flock to. Because it fills in partially the kind of emptiness, the void, the desire to play D&D leaves them with. And since there are always new stories, be they real or made up, mostly made up, it's influx of something new, something you may have not yet heard, but probably did, just worded a little differently. I'm just mentioning this on the side because if I'm not satisfied with how the online space on YouTube looks for the D&D community, then the way it looks on Reddit is probably the antichrist to what I would imagine the community to look like ideally. Now you might be rightfully asking what was the goal behind all of this, what do I hope to achieve with this? If I have such a problem with the content online, maybe I just shouldn't consume it, and that's a great point, I do not consume it. Basically everything D&D related I watch are Dimension 20 campaigns on Dropout TV. I also watch Critical Role, and I'm also a boulder for life who refuses to let the flame die out. It's just that my algorithm has pegged me as a D&D person, as someone interested in D&D, so my feed is basically flooded with everything I complained about today, even though I just keep clicking not interested, don't recommend stuff from this channel. It always comes back because there's only so many D&D videos that they can show me, so they just keep showing me the same things over and over again. And also negativity sells in this community, like a lot. People just love to click on videos on how something is wrong in the D&D space. So I'm just riding that wave, baby. I'm selling out, but in a different way than others, and that makes me better, I guess. But seriously, this is just an outlet for my frustrations. Not all of them, but some, when it comes to the D&D online space. As a D&D player and a DM, I just do not feel like I'm respected by the creators online. That they do not respect my time, my attention. And not just mine, but the D&D players in general. I know people on YouTube are here mainly to make money and to create art. Money is needed so they can keep making what they want. But there's this sense of, I don't know, something not being right. Because so many people can have so many different experiences, so many different memories. Such an artistically charged hobby. And this is all we get? This is all we have? I just kind of yearn for more, for something better than this. Now, I would love to do something better. I'm trying to figure out something better to add to this, but it's kind of difficult. Shocker, creating art is difficult. So in the meantime, I'm just here yelling and complaining about how everything sucks and how your favorite D&D YouTube creator is actually bad, because he's not my favorite D&D YouTube creator. That's a joke, obviously. You can like whoever you like, and I respect that. I just hope you understand that all of this is also a little theatrical, right? And who is to blame for this? Well, I don't know. Is it COVID that created this repeating echo chamber mainly? That's, I feel like, where it mainly started. Or anyone who's in this community for way longer than me can probably tell me if it maybe was present even before. It just got way worse during COVID. Or if it's the Wizards of the Coast fault for not giving us enough content. I mean, that would maybe then be like Hasbro's fault. I just feel like it's a damn shame this is all we are left with. Even if you may have not agreed with the stuff I say, I hope you can at least share this sense of wanting more, wanting something better. I'm sure that even if you consume all I talked about and complained about religiously, I'm certain you can feel some sense of repetition in it by now. I just feel like the whole D&D community is carried by Critical Role, Dimension 20, animators, oh god bless the animators, and Zack the Bold. Well anyway, that's everything. I'm gonna go play Slay the Spire 2 now. See you later.